quick tutorial. I'm going to do headstand. So normally I would prefer to do this with you in class. Yeah, so I can be there to support you and to help you. But I know that some of you practice headstand at home, or yeah, do some sequences that have headstand in it. So yeah, we'll do this as a big workshop next year, but at the moment this is just a very simple introduction to yeah, two different versions of headstand. I'll be putting a sequence together that's got a headstand in it if you want to do it, or a version of. So the one I haven't done with you in class, those of you that come to class, is a tripod headstand, but this is the one I probably teach the most because this is the one I teach at gymnastics. So but it's not the one I practice the most. I don't practice it very well. I'm not very stable in it, and especially when I'm on a carpet. So we'll see how it goes. But here's what I want you to know. When I've spoken to you about your chaturanga, anything that we're doing, when we're taking weight into our hands, when we've done our crow, anything at all, this is exactly the same principle. You're pushing into the fingers, pushing into the knuckle area of the palms, and you're creating a very strong foundation. But our foundation in tripod headstand is 3 points: hands and top of the head. What I notice a lot of people try and do when they're starting their headstand is this is really wide, almost like a push-up position, and there's not much much of a triangle base, but you're thinking like a three-legged stool, so you want the sort of nice 3 stable points, creating a proper triangle, not proper triangle, acute. So think chaturanga arms. So those of you that love chaturanga, hey, you're welcome. So hands are directly underneath the shoulders, and think about that, taking strength into them, because you want to be pushing into the hands. You want to be taking weight into the hands as well. And then as you come forward from the knees, you're bending the elbows so that they're staying above the wrists and placing the head down. And now start just about the hairline, because as you lift the hips up over the over the head, you roll a little bit, because you don't want to be right on the back of your head. That's another thing that I see a lot of people do, is coming onto the back of the head. It's yeah, about an inch or so back from the hairline. Depends where your hairline is, of course. So yeah, that's only going to work if your hairline's in the same place as mine. Wouldn't work for my husband. So bending the elbows and placing the head down. So this might be just where you are. And so if this is all loose, that's not going to work. You need to push in, draw the tummy up, and grip with your fingertips. And then possibly you feel that if you've got that strength that maybe built up from the chaturanga, you can take a bit of weight off your head as you do that. So from here, you would tuck your toes and keep pushing firmly down. Keep the elbows drawing in, and maybe take a little bit of weight up, and maybe bring the hips up over the head as you walk a little bit further in. But as you do take more weight into the head, you find that the weight comes out to the hands. You want to try and maintain that push into the hands so that you've got that there as stability as well. Because you are going to take, when your weight comes up, it is all over the head, but you're kind of bracing with the arms. So if you've ever seen struts that brace a structure, yeah, they're working a little bit like that, and they're helping you. So you don't need to come fully up either to start with. And what I would suggest is that if you can, don't do it against the wall, because we've got a habit of, if we're practicing against the wall, to try and jump up against it and forcing our weight too far over. What I would like this to come from is a lift from your core if you can. So bearing in mind how the neck and body feel, this does take quite a bit of strength. So maybe build up the strength if you feel that you're not ready to come weight onto the head. Make sure if you are going to roll forward, you've maybe something soft to land on, or because that's what's going to happen if you fall out of this, is a roll forward. Yeah. Which can be a shock to the system, but it should be okay. Just tuck and roll. Okay, head down, tuck the toes, walking in, pushing into the hands, keeping the elbows from splaying out. You want to keep that push from above the shoulders and walk it in. And then maybe squeeze one heel towards the bottom and then the other heel could come up. Or possibly you're going to push into the hands and lift both and tuck and squeeze. So bringing the feet back down, coming onto the knees. Give yourself a little bit of a break if you did that with me. I've seen that called an egg shape. So you're bringing yourself into a little partial. I'm not very comfortable in that shape. I'm not comfortable in it in the bound headstand. I prefer to come up, but I like to come up one leg at a time. So from there, you can then lift both legs at the same time. That usually throws my balance. But we're going to try this time and come all the way up. So placing the head down, coming in here, bringing the shoulders into place. So the shoulders are creating that stability, tummy's drawn in, and possibly lifting both legs. And you're finding that balance point with the hips up. Straightening one leg maybe, finding again the balance, and then possibly the other. So eventually this would be a pike up with both legs at the same time, and carefully coming down. So wherever headstand you've been in, whatever practice you're doing, give yourself a break in between. So when you come down, allow yourself to come into child's pose. Don't just immediately sit back up. Yeah, give yourself a bit of decompression time. So, said I was going to do two. So our bound headstand, this is the one I've done with you in class quite a lot, because it's one I practice in my sequence, mostly. Some people feel a lot safer in the tripod headstand. It does give you a bit more of a base, but it takes more weight into the head. So it's a bigger area that you're pushing weight into because you've got your hands there as well. It feels more stable because you've got your hands there. But if you can practice the bound headstand with the arms pushing into the elbows and the hands wrapped around the head, this creates quite a nice tight partial for the bottom of your headstand, the base of your headstand. But yeah, because you're pushing into the elbows and you're using a lot more from the shoulders and that push from the upper back and the drawing from the chest, it takes more weight out of the neck and the head. Does that make sense? So this one, instead of the hands being here, we're going to have the elbows directly under the shoulders this time, palms facing up, and interlace your fingers. And then from there, you're placing your head into that space in front of the hands. And again, it's a little bit of the front of the head so that you can roll a wee bit. There's not so much roll in this, so maybe place a little flat area in your head. Down. So on the knees, cupping the hands around the back of the head, and you're nestling your head down into the mat. And then just start from here on the knees, pushing into the elbows so that the upper back rounds and the head pops up off the floor. So it's a big push down and lift, push and lift. Activating all around the shoulders and chest and the upper back. And you feel, hopefully, you feel everything in here all push. So maybe if you're just sitting here, you can push your arms forward. You can feel that activation in the back. So that's where all the push is coming from in your bound headstand. So placing the head back down again, and we're going to just develop this the same way as we did the tripod. Tummy drawn in, lifting the knees up and walking in a little bit. And remember that push, because otherwise you're just going to scrunch into the neck. You want to push through the elbows so that you're taking the weight off the head a little bit and that you're not collapsing into your neck. So maybe you're walking in a little bit more, taking one foot up, place it down, the other, placing it down, and walking back out, coming onto the knees and giving yourself a little bit of a break. So, of course, the last point would be to come up. So, again, so if you're practicing, yes, you could be just practicing the strength of the shoulders. So maybe on the elbows and just going for that push and lift and work on the strength of the body. Don't have to come up into a headstand ever. It's not necessary. So drop the head down and just work on that push, drawing into the tummy, round in the back and lift. It's still good. Okay. If you are looking to come into your headstand, see if it works for me today. Walking the feet in, maybe taking one leg up and lift for the other. So if you've got the strength in the abs, you can lift both legs at the same time. Remember to push into the shoulders. The more you can push from the shoulders into the elbows, then the less weight will be in the head. And then as you come down, you're carefully coming down. I bring one leg down at a time and then settle into child's pose for as long as you need. Okay, so any questions though, give me a buzz. And don't go trying this if anything feels uncomfortable, because once we become stable in your headstand, none of it's uncomfortable. So if it's feeling uncomfortable for you, wait until you're with a teacher. They'll support you as you go about your practice. So I'll speak to you soon.